I don't know. The words hit me like 3 shots to the chest. Those spiked Iron Legion rounds that shatter apart and lodge in your sternum. We stared. Not at the body, at the commander. Where was the plan? The next great idea? There was always another plan. This one was supposed to be a triumph, our killing blow. Burn me, even prophecy was on our side. And then it was over. Aurene was dead. Dragon's Watch done. Just like Destiny's Edge. Just like the last time. I couldn't stop it. Aurene dead. Krakatork gone. Just gone. Back into the mists with no way to chase him down. A lifetime of Blood Legion training drilled into my head told me to pick up Sohathan and go after the damn dragon anyway. Pursue, destroy. No hesitation, no fear. I could have done more. Should have done more. 11 years ago, I watched Glint fall out of the sky. Today I watched Krakatork murder our last hope. Kaith was there too. I thought she'd feel the same as me. She'd been there the first time. She'd been there when Snaff... I thought she'd be furious. She wasn't. The commander joined her by the twisted corpse that Krakatork left behind. Aurene impaled, frozen forever in her death throes. I saw tears, but no rage. Where was their rage? Where was the plan? How are we going to win? Kaith, the commander, Tiny Bram, all grieving for the dead dragon. No anger for the one that escaped. How could they mourn a dragon? You have to trust me, Rytlock. How many times had I heard that from the commander? It was never not a stupid plan. Raising one dragon from birth to kill another and fulfill some sort of foretold destiny? Char don't even raise their own cubs. How is anyone supposed to raise a dragon? It was always a stupid plan, but I went along with it. Not because of trust. No, this was about loyalty. Char are loyal to their war band, their brothers and sisters in arms. The bonds forged in battle are stronger than any bloodline. But in the Farrar, we're also taught that losing war bandmates will happen. For the greater good. Victory above all. Honor to the war band. Glory to the High Legions. Acceptable losses, Runebringer calls them. Sure. Destiny's Edge, Dragon's Watch. For over a decade, they've been my war bands, my family. They've been loyal to me. I tried to be loyal to them. They put their faith in me to achieve victory above all. Even with acceptable losses, I didn't do enough. Krakatork is in the mists. Soon, he'll either brand the whole world, or swallow up the mists. So, we hunt him down and we kill him. Simple, right? Yeah, no, not really. Aurene was the only way to save Tyria. She was supposed to kill the crystal dragon, absorb his magic, and... I don't know. It's not like we had any better options. Every other plan ends with the annihilation of all existence. Even if we somehow did manage to end Krakatork without her, all that magic inside him, from Zaitan, Warjamoth, and Balthazar, the boom wouldn't be pretty. All my friends, my family, they're going to die in this doomed world because I'm a failure. Always have been.
Rytlock, Rytlock, Rytlock.
That damn chorus of voices all around me again. Open palms shoving me to the ground, clawed feet kicking me while I'm down. And somewhere behind it all is my voice, small, alone, screaming for them to stop. They don't, not until I wake up. I knew I'd get back at them someday. Me and my friends, we make them all stop. We'd hurt them, like they'd hurt us. I became the leader of my war band, training every day, slaughtering countless enemies, a legend among the Char. They'd knock me down, but I'd always stand back up. I never dream about that. Why can't I ever dream about that? I was the run to the litter. I'd always be the run to the litter. No matter how many enemies I tore apart, no matter how many elder dragons I'd kill, even if I was Con-Ur, I'd always be Rytlock. I couldn't change that. All I could do was stand back up after they'd pushed me down. But even when I silenced those voices for good, I never got them out of my head. or my nightmares. Not until I found Sohathan. Always thought it was more of an Ash Legion job. Infiltrate the Flame Legion and sabotage Gaher and Balefire's operation from the inside. Normally that means sending an envoy to the Black Citadel to set up a joint operation, but Imperator Runebringer didn't trust Ash Legion. Still doesn't. Doesn't trust anyone, really. He just sent the two of us. Me and Cressia. She was like one of those knives made out of Canthan porcelain. Flawless, and sharp enough to cut you to pieces. Cray was perfect for the job, Runebringer said. What he meant was she was female. Balefire wouldn't see it coming, wouldn't suspect her of being a Blood Legion warrior in disguise. He was right. Burn him. Runebringer usually is. Getting into the garrison was easy. Maybe the job itself would have been too, if I didn't spend most of my time just trying to avoid killing everyone I met. That was hard. Cressia was better. Poisoned food, stole plans, swapped orders. Flame Legion didn't suspect a thing. Then we got some news. Something big going through the ranks. The Flame Legion had found something and was bringing it to our garrison. Something incredible. They'd found Sohathan. I tried to learn more, but sneaking around, gathering intelligence, not exactly my strong suit. Here's what the two of us figured out. The Flame Legion sent some troops to the Ring of Fire to look for an ancient relic that belonged to a human prince, Rurik. It was supposed to have been a gift from their god of war, Balthasar. When we heard that the blade was leaving our garrison for Fireheart Rise, to be delivered to Imperator Balefire himself, well, I couldn't let that happen. Of course I couldn't just steal it. I had to tell my warband mate what I was planning. Problem was, Cray was doing too good of a job to leave it all behind. When I told her what I was going to do, she told me I'd get myself killed. Probably put her at risk too. If I got caught, it wouldn't take them long to figure out which Imperator we really answered to. But I was young. I couldn't let Balefire get his claws on Sohathan. And my head was full of... I was young. We were young. I did what I thought I had to do. I killed the guards protecting Sohathan and claimed it for myself. Begged Cressia to come with me. Maybe she even considered it. I'll never know because she didn't. She stabbed me in the leg with a paring knife to slow me down and sounded the alarm. Later she told Runebringer she was trying to make it look good. Can't say I appreciated it at the time, even if it worked. She kept up the act for years after I got away. I think about her sometimes. Her fine lines and sharp edges. The scar on my leg reminds me of what I did. Still makes me wonder if Cray was one of those acceptable losses our teacher and the Farrar like to talk about so much. But in the end, I had Sohathan. That was what mattered. Imperator Runebringer wasn't happy to see I'd blown my cover, but stealing Balefire's secret weapon, that improved his mood. Now that I was back with my stone warband, Runebringer decided to put us in the front lines of the next major attack, with me and Sohathan at the fore. He wanted the Flame Legion to see their precious artifact in the claws of the enemy. He wanted the Flame Legion to see their own cut down by its magic. He wanted the Flame Legion to fear the fire. As they did. Battle after battle, Sohathan cleaved through enemy lines. Their arrows, their blades, their magic. It all knocked me down, but I always got back up. My legend grew, my power grew, my warband grew. Distant. But that didn't matter to me. I had Sohathan, and I was unstoppable. I won battle after battle, setting those Flame Legion zealots ablaze like dried kindling. Rytlock Brimstone was the most feared char on the battlefield. My superiors tried to order me around, tried to push me down. But with Sohathan, nobody would ever push me around again. My superiors didn't like that very much.
I should have you executed. You know that?
I remember the way Runebringer's eyes shone and his teeth flashed in that dimly lit chamber at the Blood Citadel. He claimed that I didn't follow orders, that I put my fellow char at risk, that I thought I was better than he was. I told him I had opinions about my orders.
On the battlefield?
He sneered.
That's a place to have opinions?
The next words out of my mouth were a mistake.
Only if we lose,
I said.
I've yet to fight a losing battle.
Runebringer rose from his throne. I tried to stand taller, dignified.
Well,
You're in one right now. I gritted my teeth. I knew what was coming next. Or at least I thought I did.
you will not become a Gladium,
Runebringer said. You're being promoted. I was confused, but told him I was honored. That was a mistake too. Runebringer showed me a heavy parchment folded sealed with wax.
You'll be going on a little tour of the legions,
He continued.
Maybe your motivational presence will deliver them the same victories you've brought us.
Just execute me. The other legions. They don't fight like blood. Iron cowers behind their machines. Ash skulks around in the shadows. But there was no reason with him. Runebringer enjoyed the thought of me being miserable more than he enjoyed winning. All my victories, all the blood I'd spilled in my legion's name, in that moment it meant nothing. I never thought I'd feel that impotent again. I was there in the crystal desert. The sands were glass. I looked right, Glint's corpse. I looked left, her sanctuary, just a blasted ruin. And in front of me, Snaff, what was left of him. I could have done more to save the little Sura. If I hadn't been so fixed on killing the crystal dragon, I would have seen the branded swarming him. All the power of Sohathan, and Snaff was still torn apart right before my eyes. But I didn't learn. I never learned. I'd have to make more mistakes. More people had to die. I'd have to meet the god of war and fire before the lessons got through my thick skull. Is that your sword? The stranger's voice carried far in the mists. It was deep, powerful. Maybe in life he'd been some great lord, crossed someone he shouldn't have, wound up chained in these wastelands. It didn't matter to me. My eyes were on the blade, buried deep in the stone, its flame long extinguished. My goal, finally in sight after... How long had it been? Time is strange in the mists. I only ask, the stranger said, because it looks like Sohathan's lost its spark. I stopped. Or maybe just my heart did.
How do you know its name?
The stranger smiled. People are strange in the mists, too. Who doesn't know of Sohathan? He asked. Legendary blade of fire and war, taken up by a char. Word travels around, I guess. He offered to reignite it. I should have known. That was the moment I should have known. Idiot. But it was also the moment I realized I can get Sohathan back. I'd wandered the mists for what felt like a lifetime, ancient battles repeating for eternity, and now there was a chance to take back the light. My light. I didn't ask who he was or why he was chained up. I just wanted my life back.
You can reignite it?
The stranger raised his arm, and the flame within Sohathan sparked, piercing through the gloom of the mists. I should have noticed how easily his muscles ignored the weight of his chains. I should have noticed the hungry flicker of flame in his eyes. But how much did I really see? How much do I just wish I'd seen? Sparks and cinders filled the air as I wrenched the blade from the stone. Its heat felt familiar. Now I was smiling too. With Sohathan, everything always seemed just a little easier. That blade is truly a marvel, the stranger said. I see how you look at it. You appreciate how special it is. I told him it was good at its job, but I won't lie. Part of me was vindicated. The stranger had no answer except to raise both his arms and stretch out his chains. And then I freed him. It was my fault. Everything that came after, all because I wanted that damn sword back. I told myself it was to free Ascalon of its curse, but that excuse didn't last long. I wanted Sohathan because it was mine, because I earned it. Or at least, I paid for it. When Balthazar saw how I looked at it, could he see what I thought of myself without it? After I cut him loose, he went to Alona, killed Vlast, murdered the commander, struck a bargain with Joko, nearly destroyed the world, all because I wanted that sword back. It was my fault, and I'm just as powerless now as I was then. Couldn't keep Logan from leaving, couldn't save Snaf, couldn't save Destiny's Edge, or Vlast, or Aurene. Take away Sohathan, and what am I? Who is Rytlock Brimstone without the legendary fire sword? Would I still be Tribune? Would I still be known throughout the High Legions? If I died and someone else took up the sword, could they do better? I looked around the ruins of Thunderhead Keep, at the commander, Kaith, Timey, Bram, my allies, my friends, my family. But there was more. A thought cowering deep in the back of my head. The cubs I never see. I sent them off to the Farrar years ago. That's what we do. Wasn't supposed to be a part of their lives, but that always felt wrong. My parents left me to struggle. The only way a runt survives in the Farrar is to fight their own battles tooth and claw. Still, I check in on them once in a while, just to see how they're doing, make sure they're staying out of trouble, and make sure nobody's giving them any. I'm never going to see them again. They'll look up at the sky as the mist disappears and everything ends. Will their warband be there to help them? Some are too young, haven't even left the Farrar yet. They'll die never knowing the camaraderie of a warband, or a family. And my eldest, my first, would he even bother to think of me as the world comes apart? That's when the tears came. Finally. I realized why Kaith was crying, why the commander was crying. To them, Aurene wasn't just a dragon. She was their daughter. 11 years ago, I stood in the Crystal Desert and saw how powerless I really was. Even with Sohathan, everything fell apart. Kralkatork escaped. My friends either died or abandoned me. My superiors call it acceptable losses. My whole life, I was told that my warband was my family, and the High Legions were absolute. Everything I did, every victory I won, it was for them. Everything else I had to sacrifice was an acceptable loss. But they're not acceptable. Not when I keep losing people I care about. My comrades, my friends, my cubs. I'd never let that happen. Burn the High Legions, burn them all to the ground. I barely know my cubs, but if Kralkatork threatened one of them, I'd sacrifice my damned soul in a heartbeat. I'd throw myself in front of them. I'd die for them. Yeah, I guess I get it now.
Rytlock?
Logan. His voice shakes me back to the present.
Saw you pacing around.
I had been. All over Thunderhead Keep. Now I'm crouched on a piece of stonework, away from the others, hiding in the shadows. I thought I'd be difficult to spot. Guess I was wrong.
Just thinking.
Right. I see Logan hefting something out of the corner of my eye. You left this by Aurene's... near Aurene. It's Sohathan. I can't remember leaving it anywhere, so I just turned to look at it, at Logan, trying to think of something to say. Nothing comes to mind until he lays the blade against the wall and turns to leave.
Logan,
Logan stops. Yes. He's waiting. Patient, I'll give him that. I don't know how long he stands there, like some sort of siege. A friendly one. I glance at the sword.
Didn't need it.
Another silence longer. Come on, he says. Let's check on the others. They need us. After everything, how can I argue with that? I start to leave, but Logan's hand is on my shoulder. Rytlock, your sword. It's more than a sword, I know that much. I decided long ago that Sohathan was more important than Cray, who I'd left behind. I decided it was more important to have Sohathan than a family by my side. But I could kill every damn thing in the whole world. I could rule all 4 legions as the next Con-ur, and I'd never be happy. It'd never be worth it. I couldn't fix the world. I couldn't even fix me. So I keep walking.
You don't need it.
I say.
It's just a sword. It'll be here when I get back.
Logan looks suspicious. You sure? Even with Sohathan, I'll never be as strong as I need to be. But I'm not powerless either. Not while I have them. My warband, my family. Not while I can still fight for them.
Yeah. It'll be alright.
Hey everyone, and thank you for listening to that. If you did in its entirety. I had a lot of fun reading all of this and just coming up with certain voices. I know at certain parts it was strange. I've never really done Char before, but just to quickly and briefly touch on what we just read, I really didn't know what to expect when they revealed Rytlock to be the first character being elaborated upon in Requiem. But I ended up really loving it, and I was thoroughly surprised when we got backstory on how we got Sohathan and this individual named Cressia and his cubs, and it was actually a lot of nice character development for Rytlock, a lot of unanswered character questions that have remained questions until now. And overall, I feel like there's still more to be fleshed out in-game with Rytlock, as there always can be. But it was nice to get some explanation as to how he got Sohathan in the first place. Other than that, everyone, I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm hoping to do Kaith and Zafira as well, because like they're the other 2 outlines. Like it's obviously Kaith and it's obviously Zafira, unless it's the commander in the Zafira outfit. Anyway, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye everyone!